Hey everyone, welcome back to Sex Ed Intimate Connections. Today, we're diving into a fascinating and somewhat controversial topic that sparked countless myths, debates, and maybe even some awkward moments. Can you predict a man's genital size without directly asking? Stick around to uncover the science, statistics, and myths behind this intriguing question. This topic has been the subject of scientific research, pop culture, and, let's be honest, endless speculation. So, let's break it all down. The facts, the myths, and what the science really says. And trust me, some of the findings might surprise you. Stick around until the end because we'll also bust a few of the most popular myths. Let's start with the basics. What actually determines genital size? The biggest factor here is genetics. Your DNA plays a major role in shaping the size and structure of all parts of your body, including genitalia. But it's not just about genetics. Hormones also come into play, especially testosterone. During fetal development, around the 8th to 12th week of pregnancy, testosterone levels influence the development of the male reproductive system. The more testosterone exposure during this critical window, the more pronounced these characteristics tend to be. Now, does that mean you can predict size based on testosterone exposure? Not really, because other factors like maternal health and even environmental conditions during pregnancy can influence outcomes. All right, let's move to one of the most common assumptions. Does height correlate with size? There's this general idea that taller men might have a larger instrument, genitalia, penis, whatever you want to call it. But what does the data actually say? A study published in the British Journal of Urology International found that there's a weak correlation between height and genital size. So, while taller men might have a slight edge on average, it's not a hard and fast rule. And here's the kicker. There's so much individual variation that you can't make reliable predictions based on height alone. Therefore, small men can have big penises too. Did this surprise you? Let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. Next up, let's talk about fingers. Yep, fingers. Specifically, the ratio between the length of your index finger, that's your 2D, and your ring finger, your 4D. A study published in the Asian Journal of Andrology found that men with a lower 2D to 4D ratio, meaning their ring finger is longer than their index finger, might have been exposed to higher levels of testosterone in the womb. And some researchers suggest this could correlate with larger genital size. But before you start analyzing everyone's hands, let's keep this in perspective. The correlation is small and not consistent across all populations. It's more of a fun, interesting clue than a reliable predictor. All right, be honest. Did you just look at your fingers? If you did, you're not alone. Comment, I did. Now, this one's a classic. How many times have you heard that a man's shoe size somehow correlates with his genital size? Well, science says no. A study in the Journal of Urology tested this theory and found no significant relationship between shoe size and genital size. It's a total myth, but somehow it stuck around. Maybe because it's easy to observe, or maybe it's just one of those things that's been passed down as common knowledge. But let's put this one to rest. There's absolutely no scientific basis for it. Big feet does not mean big penis. What's the weirdest myth you've ever heard about this topic? Share it in the comments. Do we have any black men watching? Let's tackle another big question. Does race correlate with genital size? This is a tricky one because it's often steeped in stereotypes rather than facts. Scientific studies have shown slight differences in average sizes across populations, likely due to genetic diversity and environmental factors. For example, some studies have reported that men from certain regions in Africa and South America tend to have slightly larger averages, while men from parts of Asia might have slightly smaller averages. But here's the thing, these are just averages. The variation within any given group is much larger than the differences between groups. In other words, you can't make assumptions about an individual based on their race or ethnicity. And honestly, we should be cautious about how we interpret this data. It's easy to let stereotypes overshadow the science, and that doesn't do anyone any good. Drop a like on the video if you found that fact interesting. Now, let's move beyond the numbers and talk about the psychology behind all this. Why is there so much focus on this topic in the first place? For one, societal norms and media often exaggerate the importance of size, tying it to ideas of masculinity or desirability. But studies consistently show that most women value emotional connection, communication, and compatibility far more than physical traits like size. In fact, a survey conducted by Psychology Today found that the majority of women place little to no importance on size in a long-term partner. What really matters are things like trust, humor, and emotional availability. What do you think is more important in a relationship? Physical traits or emotional connection? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. So, can you really predict a man's penile size based on things like height, hands, feet, or race? The short answer is no. While there are some minor correlations here and there, they're not reliable or consistent enough to make any definitive judgments. The human body is complex, and individual variation is huge. At the end of the day, focusing on these superficial traits misses the bigger picture. What really matters is who someone is as a person. Did any of this surprise you? What myths or assumptions have you heard that we didn't talk about here? Let's keep the conversation going in the comments. And if you found this video interesting, give it a thumbs up. It helps us reach more curious minds like yours. Don't forget to subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.